I was just thinking about the story about Rishi Sunak's house up in Yorkshire being draped by whatever it is, protesters, posters. I live really near David Cameron's house, and I mean, I don't know whether they still had it, but certainly throughout his premiership and beyond, there is a proper security facility right outside the property. His property is pretty anonymous, actually. You'd have no idea, even though there is a little security hut, that there was anyone special living there. Sunak's house is a rather different matter because it's a huge kind of, if I recall correctly, it's a detached property.
Yes, it's a £2 million mansion in Yorkshire, which is a big house in Yorkshire.
Yeah, you can't really miss it, can you? Anyway, I don't quite understand how this could have happened. Very clever of these eco-nutters to target it because it seems such an unlikely place for one of their actions. But somebody should be in the firing line for this. Then again, the police are busy wasting their time on much less important things, aren't they?
Well, that's the trouble. That is the trouble. But it is slightly concerning because, I mean, without wishing to sound alarmist, if you can get that close to his house and nobody stops you, you could do any number of things there, couldn't you?
Of course you can. I mean, I don't think he's very often there in reality. I mean, they're very much based here. But nonetheless, as you say, you could well plant something that has a timer on it.
Yeah, exactly right. Let's talk more about the green world that he's pushing, or that he's perhaps pushing further away. I don't know what you think about his latest sort of pronouncements about North Sea oil exploration and the fact that people shouldn't be banned from flying on planes. I mean, I'm encouraged by the fact that he's moving slightly further away from net zero than he was in a situation a while ago. But, you know, the green racket continues, doesn't it, as we see this morning from the Daily Mail story about Drax.
The green racket is, at the moment, feeling like it's never ending. However, I do think there's a significant political shift on this. I think the Conservatives are ridiculously belatedly waking up to the fact that this thing is becoming rapidly a massive vote loser. And so they're pivoting as if they're not the same party that has implemented so many of these policies for the best part of the last 13 years, and well beyond that, because it was David Cameron in opposition who really set the tone for Conservatives on green stuff. Although I must say that Cameron was much more focused on conservation rather than climate change. He was focused on conservation of wildlife habitats and so on, which many of us can actually agree with. Most people want to see all that preserved. But now the Conservatives are acting as this has nothing to do with them, and actually maybe it wasn't such a great idea in the first place. The Daily Mail has a fantastic expose of this wood-burning place, Drax. It's a power plant that obviously masquerades as being incredibly environmentally friendly, as a result attracting enormous subsidies. What does this power plant do? Well, it ships a load of wood over all the way from Canada to burn here. Of course, the commercial marine shipping is one of the biggest, greatest polluters on the planet.
And it burns an awful lot of fossil fuel to put into that ship to bring it across the Atlantic, right?
It's just a complete nonsense. I mean, again, it's a bit like the whole situation with fracking, where in the leadership campaign, Rishi Sunak said he would support fracking, got into number 10 and quickly backed off of that pledge. But all the while we import gas from people that have fracked it in other countries.
Yeah. It's incredible, isn't it? I mean, it's almost as though they think we're stupid and that, you know, if they continue to parade the emperor's new clothes in front of us, we'll just nod along and go, oh, this is really great, really enjoying this. It's such a lovely parade. Well, it's not. And we can see they're not wearing any clothes, and it's time they stopped.
Oh, and I think what it is not only that they think we're stupid, but they actually know that we feel powerless to do much about it, because both the main parties stand for all this twaddle. So what are we supposed to do? The Lib Dems are much the same, probably worse actually, on a lot of this stuff. So in a system where you have first past the post, it is very difficult. I think most people feel, where do they turn? You know, is their vote going to be wasted if they vote for one of the parties that doesn't stand for this stuff?
Yeah, absolutely right. But also, we've not only got that to worry about as far as the green power firm avoiding giving all of this money back. We got British Gas just the other week making record profits, telling us that they're not going to be able to give us any breaks on their prices of gas because they've got to give it all back to their shareholders. And I understand a bit of that, but surely if gas is so expensive because of the war in Ukraine, how are they making so much money?
And it's like what happens on the petrol forecourts, isn't it? I mean, we hear that prices have dropped a certain amount, and then it takes ages for that to filter through to make any difference to those people turning up to actually fill their car up. I mean, fortunately, we are now seeing a significant reduction in fuel prices, and that does help people a lot. But on the other hand, we're about to get interest rates rising. So whoopee-doo. We all look forward to our mortgage or rent going up again.
Yeah, and this is the thing. The government are giving off this vibe that, we'll all be in it together. We'll all just hang on for grim life and we'll come out the other side and we'll be stronger people and we'll be more together. Almost as though, they're actually deluding themselves now. And to hear Mel Stride this morning talking about if you're over 50 and you need a few extra quid, why don't you just get on a bike and start delivering some pizza?
I am not yet 50, but you know what? Maybe I'm going to sign up to this and see what it's like. I don't get over indignant about ministers suggesting that people are complaining people who complain they don't have enough money. I'm not indignant that they should be advised to go out and take more work. I'm not sure it's realistic that an army of pensioners are going to get on a Deliveroo circuit. They're going to be competing with much younger and speedier people. But it is amazing how many people are economically inactive. And I don't know how they do it, Mike. You work ridiculously long hours. No danger of you having to become a delivery driver, is there? I love that thought, though. Yeah,
I mean, listen, I'm quite happy to deliver to certain people. I'm happy to cook for them as well, but, that's called life, but I don't think I want to be paid for it. But one of the problems with employing older people is that I know I sort of changed from a particular supermarket chain because they kept sending me deliveries handled by very elderly people who couldn't make it up the stairs. And, they'd get up to the top of the stairs and complain that they were about to drop dead. And I was like, well, I'm sorry, it's not really... So now I use a place that uses very fit young men who never complain at all and sort of race up and down the stairs without any problems. So I think you have to be careful about what you're asking older people to do.
Yeah, although I don't think most people in their 50s should fall into the category of not being able to get up the stairs. No. And if are in that category, it will probably do them good.
I look back very fondly on my 50s. I only wish I was still there, but there we are. That's another story. Let's talk about the latest sort of Coots-related nightmare, which is front of the Telegraph today. Apparently, if you're organising a hunt, you're not going to be able to take card payments from people because one of the major financial service firms has said they won't process them.
Now, you're a bit ahead of me on this story because I wasn't alerted to your excitement over this story until fairly last minute. What kind of hunting are we talking about here? Are we talking about fox hunting or what?
Yeah, I think it's only fox hunting. Well, companies linked to shooting are singled out. Anything that involves guns, firearms, airsoft guns, munitions sales. So presumably if you're involved in clay pigeon shooting, you're going to have a problem. Apparently if you're having any kind of hunt, they've had their machines switched off during fundraising events. So I think what they're doing is looking at, in a very probably inaccurate way, people that might look as if they're organising a hunt and then saying, well, you can't fundraise using our apps.
I mean, this is all mind-boggling, isn't it? I've got this kind of mental image of all these people on horseback waiting to go off on a potentially illegal hunt, handing with their switch card, their debit cards to make the payment. It's all a bit weird, this. Yeah. I mean, what it comes down to is ever more restrictions on the use of key services based on your lifestyle choices. And that is not to be welcomed. It's a creeping thing. First it's hunting, then it is fishing, then it's angling, and how long till they come for the bird watchers? Oh, my God. Well, listen, I mean, at least what we do know now is that Nigel Farage has managed to completely sort of hollow out Coots Bank, who have now gone completely reverse turtle and decided to give him back all of the things that he wanted to have in the first place that they took off him. Yeah, well, good. As they said, this might cause them a little bit of a local PR difficulty, and did it blow up in their faces. I think Farage has done the nation a great service here.
No question.
He's right to double down, and keep pushing because there's so many other battles to be fought in this area.